Hi, everybody. We're back. Um, Summer's starting to wind down, so now I can finally get back to work on the channel like I was hoping to. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos coming up for new teachers, particularly suited to tech education. There's not a whole lot of info out there for you new tech educators. You get all the books and everything else that's handed to you as a new teacher. A lot of it, even though it can apply, you have to adapt it quite a bit. So we're going to focus on things like that, since those books for a lot of you may not really be as useful as you'd like them to be. A lot of them you might not understand some of the concepts until later in. So what I've got coming up for us in the coming weeks, I have a big list here. Okay, I took a lot of these off of the technology education's site. I asked a couple questions on Facebook, and I started to come up with a little bit of a list. So we're going to be doing content on this over the next couple weeks and couple months. Might be a little while before I can video some of these because I don't have access to my classroom right now, but I should in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We don't start school until the end of August, beginning September here. So coming up, for new teachers, where is the best place to get your supplies? There's a key to that you may not be thinking of as a new teacher. We will talk about that. Equipment maintenance and repair, especially if you have a large shop style classroom like I do and you are brand new. I don't know about the rest of you, but in my case, I didn't get much instruction on how to maintain and set up machines. So I'm going to go through, there'll be a series of videos that'll probably be separate from the new teacher videos on how to adjust, maintain, repair most of the common machines that you'll find in any tech education classroom. So that'll be coming up. Consumables. What's the cheapest way to go to get all your supplies? We'll talk about that. Um, One of the things I'm also going to be doing, luckily I heard some interest in this from that Facebook query that I asked, is projects requiring minimal supplies and tools. That's something I was already planning on doing, especially as we go back into this new, we none of us really know what's going on, COVID-19 school year for 2020 to 21. Um, what can you have kids do at home when you're like me, where you're a shop teacher and kids might not have a ton of tools at home. So we're going to look into some simple projects that can almost definitely be done at home with minimal outlay of money and minimal, acquisition of supplies in case businesses are shut down, those sort of things. So things that kids could do at home. It's my philosophy that if you really know how to teach, this is what I aspire to, you should be able to teach the same thing with just a piece of paper and some scissors as you could with an entire workshop. If your lessons and your projects are lined up properly. We'll get into that. So we'll talk about, I'm calling them minimalist projects. They're going to be very simple things to do that can be done in almost any classroom, but are still relevant to the learning. I'm also going to talk about, this is where I get more into things that are more typical for new teachers. We're going to have an episode coming up where I talk about school culture, making connections in your new building now that you're the newbie. We'll talk about that. Joining committees, connecting with parents and students. Okay, connecting with students is a lot easier than connecting with parents. One of the biggest hurdles that any new teacher has is fear of the phone call. So I will walk you through that and how I take care of it and what my attitude is towards making contact and creating a connection with parents. It's definitely not the easiest thing on earth, but it's also nowhere near as bad as people make it seem. Also, how do you promote your program? That goes hand in hand. And the last one is kind of a given. I'll be talking about how I manage safety and judge liability. How do you make judgment calls in your classroom on the fly? It's normal for teachers. We make more decisions. I don't remember where the study is. We make more decisions per class period or block, depending what school you're in, than air traffic controllers make in the same amount of time. It's one of the reasons why you might come home feeling completely mentally drained, even though you're physically wide awake. It's taxing. It's something you get used to, though. We'll be talking about that, and that's pretty much everything. I have some other things that I haven't put down on this list yet. I had just remembered one a couple seconds ago while I was talking, but I've since forgotten it. So I will come back with that too. Um, so a lot coming up. I hope it'll be helpful for people. I'm trying to give my unique point of view for pretty much everything, just because I have mentioned in a couple of videos now that I believe in there being two types of teachers with, obviously variances, but two general types of teachers, very broad general types of teachers. Um, and I'll also be doing a video on that. I think it's important that you think about it, and it's important that we all think about it because almost all of us will fit into one of those two categories, right? Those broad spectrum categories. So that will probably be the very next episode coming up. And that's what we've got going on over the next couple months. I'm hoping to crank these out more frequently and more regularly. I've been on vacation since it's summer break, so I haven't been doing much in the way of videos lately. I took a trip to West Virginia to help my parents build their retirement house. I have been moving into my new house and taking care of the old house. So I've been running back and forth like crazy between packing, repairs, going down to help my parents, everything else. So now that everything's settled down, there will be more content coming. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon.